Welcome to my newest installment. I'll be your lovely host today. It's a thrill to announce that the channel has crossed 140 subscribers. Thank you all for the continued support and for being a part of this journey. And yeah, I'm speechless. I'm more grateful than words can say. So thank you again for the support that you all have shown me to this point. And I look forward to seeing what the future holds for this channel. And I'm looking forward to welcoming new members of the community to this channel as I add more videos. I'm working hard to craft quality videos, hoping that I can maintain the consistency of quality videos. And I also like to extend a salute to the Heavy Metal Diecast channel for their support. Definitely check out his videos. Great people behind these channels and providing valuable content for aviation collectors and overall the entire aviation community. And hoping to see more subscribers. So let's kick the afterburner, folks. So for those of you who are new to the channel, what I'm trying to do in this channel is showcasing the aircraft history and talk about some of its heritage, and more importantly, share the powerful human stories of those who made them, who fly them, maintain them, etc., etc. With that said, I believe that these models, more than just an object, each model is a tangible link to the past and whispers a human story. And then, of course, I'll share my thoughts on the model itself without going any further. So let's focus on the review now. So today we have for review the McDonnell Douglas, the FA-18C. This Legacy Hornet is in the colors of the VF-81, the Sunliners, out of the USS Saratoga, U.S. Navy. Participated in the Operation Desert Storm in 1991. Now, this FA-18C Hornet with a bureau number 163508 with a military code AA401 holds a significant historical importance within the Navy's aviation history, which we will get to that momentarily, but let me offer some historical background on this particular squadron. So the VF-81 initially operated the A-7E Corsair with the tail code AA, specifically using the AA401 aircraft for the commanding officers. They later transitioned to the FA-18C Hornet. Their radio call sign is Inferno. The squadron was assigned to the USS Saratoga during deployments, including a Mediterranean cruise, which was in 1986. VF-81 was part of the carrier Air Wing 17 on the USS Saratoga. Also, the VF-81, as I've mentioned, participated in the Operation Desert Storm 1991, flying from the USS Saratoga and achieving the first coalition air-to-air victory by shooting down an Iraqi MiG-21, marking the Navy's only two aerial victories of the campaign. And more recently, VFA-81 has deployed on the USS George Washington and the USS Carl Vinson. The squadron transitioned to the Super Hornet in 2008, basically enhancing its capabilities. Further, currently this particular squadron based at Naval Air Station in Oceana. So, just after dawn of January 17, 1991, Gulf War explodes over the Iraqi skies. Lieutenant Commander Mark Fox, call sign Mert, launches from the USS Saratoga in his FA-18C ported Sunliner 401 or the call sign Quicksand 64. Now, the Navy does things a little different when it comes to names and call signs, etc. So, talking about the Mark Fox's call sign Mert and his aerial victory on January 17, 1991. Well, his mission was to be a spare aircraft for that specific day. His objective was to pound an Iraqi airfield, or better known the H-3, which was a keynote in Iraqi defense posture. But As the war goes, chaos as a tank's rolling into Kuwait, which shocked the world, and kicking off the Operation Desert Shield. USS Saratoga is a 34-year-old aircraft carrier, a sprint across the Atlantic Ocean into the Red Sea, joining a coalition forces to halt Saddam Hussein and eventually push him out of Kuwait back into Iraq. The United Nations sets a deadline of the January 15, 1991. That deadline comes and goes and passes and unleashes the Operation Desert Storm. What is the Operation Desert Storm? Well, basically it was a relentless air-to-ground campaign designed to shatter and dismantle Iraqi forces and consequently push them out of Kuwait. Fox has joined the VFA 81 Sunliners, which he was a Hornet pilot. As we all know, the Hornet is a multi-role capable fighter designed to air-to-air, air-to-ground, delivering a multitude of bombs. So, on that specific day, his aircraft was loaded with two AIM-9 Sidewinders, heat-seeking missiles, and two AIM-7 Sparrows, radar-guided missiles. Additionally, his aircraft will be carrying four Mark 84, basically a 2,000-pound bombs. So Fox braces for the unknowing. He's a 35-year-old that joined the Sunliners just recently as he transitioned to the FA-18. This is supposed to be a genuinely cruise Mediterranean cruise. However, Saddam Hussein and his invasion of Kuwait changed all that, and it forced the U.S. Navy as well as the U.S. military and other coalition forces for planning how to push Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. Now, when the Fox joined the Sunliners, he was a mid-level officer in his fighter squadron. He fell into that role. The deadline was set, who's going to flying, which strike package first, etc. However, his friend, Lieutenant Commander Scott Spiker, really wants to get into the first strike, but unfortunately, Spiker launches on the January 17th at 3 a.m. In the opening volley of Operation Desert Storm, and unfortunately, he was shot down. So Fox later said this reassignment decision that he made was a heavy burden, and he was the only naval aviator. He didn't return from those early missions. They claimed that he ejected safely and he was picked up. Further, just hours after Operation Desert Storm had kicked off and the first strike had been completed, Fox found himself sitting as a spare aircraft for a 36 aircraft strike package specifically designed to go after the H-3 airfield. This was an Iraqi stronghold heavily fortified over in western Iraq. So the plan was simple: smash the targets and dodge the surface air missiles, defend against any threats, and gets home safely. War has its own plans. Enemy always manipulates. Chaos quickly erupts. Well, the strike package has three Hornets already fall out the formation. One of them has a computer failure. Uh, the other one has a fuel tank failed to pressurize, and the third loses the cockpit pressurization. As the strike package shrinks, meaning numbers in the formation are moving to different position numbers. And why is this important? Because Fox, as he started the formation, moves multiple positions and everyone is shifting around. Ultimately, Fox is the only fighter aircraft that is looking low. As the radar picture is busy, the E-2 Hawkeye aircraft, which is the eye in the sky, is making a numerous radio calls. Basically, they're conveying the bogey radar hits the FA-18 via bullseye. Now, if some of you are curious about the bullseye, well, bullseye is a geographical reference point. Essentially, this is a point on the ground, such as like a latitude and a longitude, that essentially everyone knows where it exists. So in this case, the call sign of that bullseye cut is Manny. So the E-2 Hawkeye might make a call, a radio call for the Fox formation, such as a single contact, Manny 360, for example, 125000, meaning that there is a contact north 360 of Manny, 15 miles at 20,000 feet. Well, this basically allows the fighters to correlate that radar call with that radar hit inside their aircraft. Now, at the time, the F-A-18 required kind of a lot of switching changes to actually having that bullseye representation on the radar picture. But when the radar scours moves and the proper bullseye formation is placed inside the fighter aircraft, then the pilot came very quickly to correlate that bullseye and to call that radar contact, which was a really busy. So Fox realizes there's a lot of radar calls back and forth. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on being a good wingman. And he remain a visual and quiet. He realizes this is the proper way to get the job done, which in this case is striking the H-3 airfield. Basically, that was his primary target. Suddenly, the E-2 Hawkeye makes a one radio call that gets Fox's attention, and that was a bandit on your nose. Well, bandit means there isn't a bad guy, and he was only 15 miles off of his nose, and they decide to go head to head with that MiG-21. After hearing that radar calls, this gets Fox's heart racing, so what he did, he shifted from air-to-ground mindset to air-to-air mindset. He started looking around and on his radar, and he picks up a speck on his heads-up display, or the HUD. So in a matter of seconds, Fox unleashes the AIM-9 Sidewinder at the contact. Then Fox recalls it's impossible to see that missile once it came off the rail. However, once it left, there were no smoke because the rocket motors inside those Sidewinder missiles were smokeless, subsequently making it very difficult to track that supersonic missile going to the target. There were no confirmation whether that missile impact, so Fox started wondering, did I miss? So he quickly switches to AIM-7 Sparrow of distance of 4.2 miles, shot the missile. As he sees the MiG-21 off of his nose erupts, and as a fireball, the MiG was tumbling out of the sky. Then Fox passes about 1,000 feet over it. He rolls up to look up to see the burning wreckage, confirming that he successfully struck the target. As he was watching this unfold, another word came through the radio. Here's another splash. This time is scored by Bongo, who's calling out for a second kill. Then he realized that there were actually two enemy aircraft off of their nose. Right after this, the silence was loud on the Fox brain, which kind of forced him to think, did other pilot took out that MiG, which was off of his nose? He started wondering if his kill had been stolen. But since there were no time to focus on this because there might be more enemy aircraft out there, and plus they have to bomb the H-3 airfield, very quickly Fox started shifting from air-to-air to air-to-ground mindset again. After doing that, just about a few seconds, he picks up another bogey contact. This time, it's a little strange because they didn't have an idea what type of aircraft that is. All they know, there is a fighter at 23,000 feet cruising over 200 knots, basically near the H-3 airfield, which that was his primary target. He started getting closer and he locks into it. He did that because he was trying to get a visual identification. However, some of the intelligence reports in that bubble area indicate that this was an Iraqi MiG-29. Then you start, wondering, well, 200 knots, it's incredibly slow for the MiG-29, right? Or for any fighter in particular. Then you start checking S6, thinking that might be an ambush against the Hornet formation. So, as he was trying to get the visual identification against this bogey, however, there was one problem. His F-18 was still laden with the 4 2,000-pound Mark 84 bombs. This is definitely not the best configuration you want to be. when you're trying to chase a fighter or preparing yourself for a dogfight scenario. As he was chasing down that MiG-29, suddenly he catches out the corner of his eye at 2 o'clock trajectory. He saw the H-3 airfield, and he makes a decision to break a lock and go after his primary target, which bombing the H-3 airfield. Now, his pinpoint target on that airfield was a bunker. It was a kind of very difficult to pick the visual contact with that target, since Saddam was using one of his military strategic tactics, was creating a smoke around the airfields. Now, the smoke were intended to create a visual and radar screen, hindering coalition offensive airstrikes and potentially impacting the effectiveness of precision-guided weapons, as well as the satellites, consequently hindering the air superiority. Further, Fox sees a white roof hangar that was basically his target, so he was able to differentiate from the white desert tan. He lines up towards his target. He dropped the bombs. He conducts the sweetest dive bombing attack of his entire career. After dropping those bombs, confirming that he successfully struck the target, now Fox started running low on fuel. It's time to head back. Plus, they're successfully down the 2 enemy aircraft. Also, they bombed the H-3 airfield. Mission accomplished, and may some of you think it's over. So, it's not over. For any naval aviator, they have to land that bird safely on the boat, and that's another mission. So, for any naval aviator, after achieving any aerial victory, once he returns home and he lands his bird safely on that aircraft carrier, that's a literally icing on a cake, because landing on aircraft carriers was never guaranteed. So Fox hit the deck of the USS Saratoga. He catches the wire successfully, and they were able to celebrate their victory. Fox flew 18 combat missions in a Desert Storm, and he later lead and fly numerous combat missions in Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003. Ultimately, Fox would retire as a vice admiral, having worked at the White House. His story is one of the skill, courage, grit. Well, having established all that historical background, this brings us to talk about the model. So this is from Hobbymaster, 1/72nd scale, with the model number HA3501. Now, I will say it's a great model, but unfortunately, it sold out quite a while ago. This one has been part of my collection for a very long time. If you guys are interested of this particular model, and if you guys can find a seller selling it, I'm sure the price is expected to be high. Folks, I try to prioritize reviewing models are easily obtainable for viewers. That's one of my major pet peeves, is reviewing extremely older releases, but here's the catch. Um, the collection is close to 500 models, which means a new model won't be purchased for every single review, but I'm doing my best to put my hands on the newest releases. I'm suspecting that's just not the sustainable thing for me, and it's becoming difficult to justify. Moving on, Hobbymaster did a fantastic work of modeling this FA-18, all the markings, insignia, as well as the small labels. For example, the USS Saratoga on the rear side of the fuselage, even the registration numbers of the aircraft. For example, the 163508, also the VFA 81. All those are dialed in very crisp and clear. No washed out colors. The panel lines, overall, the model is in a good shape. The cockpit, it's very nicely detailed. You'll get 2 sets of removable canopies. All the formation lights are on point. Of course, you'll get the pilot figure with this model, and you can display it in or out. As per usual, it comes with the traditional Hobbymaster stand, So you can choose to display the model basically in any configuration. In terms of armament, this particular example comes with the 3 fuel tanks, 2 under each pylon and a third on the center line under the belly, alongside with the 2 Pavway 2, the LGB-12 air-to-ground bombs, and also the 2 AIM-7 Sparrows, air-to-air missiles, and of course the 2 fixed AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles on the tip of the wing. Incidentally, all armaments are very nicely detailed. All the model accessories were very friendly to install, no fuss, no fitment issues. Also comes with the deployable speed brake, which is really cool. One final detail to mention here, perhaps evident in the introductory footage, is that this model has been customized by me with weathering for more realistic look. So why do I do this? So weathering this model reflect the realities of carrier operations. The aircraft are constantly exposed to the elements in harsh conditions, and they tend to get dirty. And I think the weathering brings this model, to life, especially those Hornets. Just add little patina to them. They looks more realistic in my opinion, and captures that authenticity. By the way, I only weathered this particular model. The other Super Hornets that I have in my collection, they remain pristine. It's a beautiful model, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. It's another piece of history related to the naval aviation, and also I'm glad to share its story with you today. So with that, we'll wrap things up. Thank you all for tuning in and hoping we learned something from this video. Don't forget to subscribe and enable the notifications. That way you'll get notified once I drop the new video. Remember, liking the video helps the algorithm. Until next time, thanks for watching, everyone.